The most important quality for an investor is temperament, not intellect. You need a temperament that neither derives great pleasure from being with the crowd or against the crowd. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. Investing is not a game where the guy with the 160 IQ beats the guy with 130 IQ. If you like spending 6 to 8 hours per week working on investments, do it. If you don't, then dollar cost average into index funds. The most important investment you can make is in yourself. One can best prepare themselves for the economic future by investing in your own education. If you study hard and learn at a young age, you will be in the best circumstances to secure your future. Do not take yearly results too seriously. Instead, focus on 4 or 5-year averages. When we own portions of outstanding businesses with outstanding management, our favorite holding period is forever. What counts for most people in investing is not how much they know, but rather how realistically they define what they don't know. Don't get caught up with what other people are doing. Being a contrarian isn't the key, but being a crowd follower isn't either. You need to detach yourself emotionally. The rich invest in time, the poor invest in money. Whether we're talking about socks or stocks, I like buying quality merchandise when it is marked down. Never depend on a single income. Make an investment to create a second source. When a management with a reputation for brilliance tackles a business with a reputation for bad economics, it is the reputation of the business that remains intact. The biggest mistake is not learning the habit of saving properly. Do not save what is left after spending, instead, spend what is left after saving. I'm not interested in cars, and my goal is not to make people envious. Don't confuse the cost of living with the standard of living. Investing is an activity in which consumption today is foregone in an attempt to allow greater consumption at a later date. Opportunities come infrequently. When it rains gold, put out the bucket, not the thimble. Seize great opportunities and load up the truck. Gold gets dug out of the ground in Africa, or someplace. Then we melt it down, dig another hole, bury it again and pay people to stand around guarding it. It has no utility. Anyone watching from Mars would be scratching their head. I just sit in my office and read all day. You cannot make a good deal with a bad person. If you get to my age in life and nobody thinks well of you, I don't care how big your bank account is, your life is a disaster. It's better to hang out with people better than you. Pick out associates whose behavior is better than yours and you'll drift in that direction. If you're in the luckiest 1% of humanity, you owe it to the rest of humanity to think about the other 99%. You only have to do very few things right in your life so long as you don't do too many things wrong. You are neither right nor wrong because the crowd disagrees with you. You are right because your data and reasoning are right. Chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. What the wise do in the beginning, fools do in the end. Every saint has a past. Every sinner has a future. Life is like a snowball. The important thing is finding wet snow and a really long hill. Never give up searching for the job that you are passionate about. The more you learn, the more you earn. I measure success by how many people love me. In the world of business, the people who are most successful are those who are doing what they love. Basically, when you get to my age, you'll really measure your success in life by how many of the people you want to have love you actually do love you. The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. I'm no genius, but I'm smart in spots, and I stay around those spots. I sent one email in my life. I sent it to Jeff Rakes at Microsoft, and it ended up in court in Minneapolis, so I am 1 for 1. There's class warfare, all right, but it's my class, the rich class, that's making war, and we're winning. I tell college students, when you get to be my age you will be successful if the people who you hope to have love you, do love you. We don't have to be smarter than the rest. We have to be more disciplined than the rest. The only value of stock forecasters is to make fortune tellers look good. Performance comes, performance goes. Fees never falter. Both large and small investors should stick with low-cost index funds. You're dealing with a lot of silly people in the marketplace. It's like a great big casino and everyone else is boozing. If you can stick with Pepsi, you should be okay. You shouldn't own common stocks if a 50% decrease in their value in a short period of time would cause you acute distress. I never attempt to make money on the stock market. I buy on the assumption that they could close the market the next day and not reopen it for 5 years. When trillions of dollars are managed by Wall Streeters charging high fees, it will usually be the managers who reap outsized profits, not the clients. Remember that the stock market is a manic depressive. Always stay rational. I try to buy stock in businesses that are so wonderful that an idiot can run them. Because sooner or later, one will. Only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked. Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. Wall Street is the only place that people ride to in a Rolls-Royce to get advice from those who take the subway. It's far better to buy a wonderful company at a fair price than a fair company at a wonderful price. Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. I will tell you how to become rich. Close the doors. Be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. Today, people who hold cash equivalents feel comfortable. They shouldn't. They have opted for a terrible long-term asset, one that pays virtually nothing and is certain to depreciate in value. Our favorite holding period is forever. Honesty is a very expensive gift. Don't expect it from cheap people. You know, you keep doing the same things and you keep getting the same result over and over again. Chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. The best thing I did was to choose the right heroes. Read 500 pages like this every day. That's how knowledge works. It builds up, like compound interest. All of you can do it, but I guarantee not many of you will do it. There seems to be some perverse human characteristic that likes to make easy things difficult. Should you find yourself in a chronically leaking boat, energy devoted to changing vessels is likely to be more productive than energy devoted to patching leaks. I don't look to jump over 7-foot bars, I look around for 1-foot bars that I can step over. You've got to keep control of your time, and you can't unless you say no. You can't let people set your agenda in life. Someone's sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. Tell me who your heroes are and I'll tell you who you'll turn out to be. Forecasts may tell you a great deal about the forecaster, they tell you nothing about the future. In the business world, the rearview mirror is always clearer than the windshield. It's easier to look back than to look into the future. The most important thing to do if you find yourself in a hole is to stop digging. No matter how great the talent or efforts, some things take time. You can't produce a baby in 1 month by getting 9 women pregnant. The business schools reward difficult complex behavior more than simple behavior, but simple behavior is more effective. You only have to do a very few things right in your life so long as you don't do too many things wrong. I've seen more people fail because of liquor and leverage, leverage being borrowed money. You really don't need leverage in this world much. If you're smart, you're going to make a lot of money without borrowing. People always ask me where they should go to work, and I always tell them to go to work for whom they admire the most. Calling someone who trades actively in the market an investor is like calling someone who repeatedly engages in one-night stands a romantic. The stock market is designed to transfer money from the active to the patient. Patience is key. We always live in an uncertain world. What is certain is that the United States will go forward over time. Trust in the United States of America. America is the best stock market to invest in, and you can be sure that your money will be safe here. Lose money for the firm, and I will be understanding. Lose a shred of reputation for the firm, and I will be ruthless. If returns are going to be 7 or 8% and you're paying 1% for fees, that makes an enormous difference in how much money you're going to have in retirement. Enough money so that they would feel they could do anything, but not so much that they could do nothing. Of the billionaires I have known, money just brings out the basic traits in them. If they were jerks before they had money, they are simply jerks with $1 billion. I always knew I was going to be rich. I don't think I ever doubted it for a minute. Cash is to a business as oxygen is to an individual, never thought about when it is present, the only thing in mind when it is absent. Nothing sedates rationality like large doses of effortless money. The best thing that happens to us is when a great company gets into temporary trouble, we want to buy them when they're on the operating table. It's far better to buy a wonderful company at a fair price, than a fair company at a wonderful price. Widespread fear is your friend as an investor because it serves up bargain purchases. For the investor, a too high purchase price for the stock of an excellent company can undo the effects of a subsequent decade of favorable business developments. Time is the friend of the wonderful company, the enemy of the mediocre. Only invest in wonderful companies. Why not invest your assets in the companies you really like? As Mae West said, too much of a good thing can be wonderful. What's nice about investing is you don't have to swing at every pitch. The trick in investing is just to sit there and watch pitch after pitch goes by and wait for the one right in your sweet spot. Beware the investment activity that produces applause. The great moves are usually greeted by yawns. Only buy something that you'd be perfectly happy to hold if the market shut down for 10 years. Invest for the long term. An investor should act as though he had a lifetime decision card with just 20 punches on it. Buy a stock the way you would buy a house. Understand and like it such that you'd be content to own it in the absence of any market. Invest only in companies you understand. Diversification is protection against ignorance. It makes little sense if you know what you are doing. Wide diversification is only required and investors do not understand what they are doing. Great investors don't diversify. All there is to invest is picking good stocks at good times and staying with them as long as they remain good companies. Business does well, the stock eventually follows. If you aren't thinking about owning a stock for 10 years, don't even think about owning it for 10 minutes. The years ahead will occasionally deliver major market declines, even panics, that will affect virtually all stocks. No one can tell you when these traumas will occur. Don't watch the market closely, if they're trying to buy and sell stocks, and worry when they go down a little bit, and think they should maybe sell them when they go up, they're not going to have very good results. Most people get interested in stocks when everyone else is. The time to get interested is when no one else is. You can't buy what is popular and do well.